Hey, so I normally don't go live often, but I have a new deck of cards and I wanted to kind of play around in energy tonight. So let me just get everything situated. Okay. This should be fun. So I've been an energy healer for over 35 years. Crazy. And as a life coach and all that good stuff, I thought it would be kind of fun to play around with my new deck of cards. I've been able to read people since I was 15 without even knowing it. I'd be able to look at somebody and just kind of know what their truth was and be able to say, oh yeah, it's this and this. And then I realized that I was channeling information, which is good because then it's not just coming, it's not Diane's advice. I can give some pretty good advice at times, but if I can channel and do some really good energy work, I might as well. So my business is healing bodies, healing souls. And you guys can ask questions and all that good stuff. And what I'd like to do today is tell you about tarot cards. Now, you don't need to worry about tarot cards. Anything and everything I do is for the light of energy. It's not for the dark. I don't play around with it. I don't mess around with it. And I have not necessarily avoid it because then you have the wrong kind of energy. I just don't entertain it. So this is my new deck of cards. And what I've been doing is I've been playing around with my cards in some sessions. And I was just working with a couple. And I said, oh, let me throw some cards. So I did 3 cards for her, 3 cards for him. And they're blown away. And then I did 3 cards for their relationship. And they were just so amazed. And then I realized, I asked them, they'd never had their cards thrown before. And I'm like, what? There's people like you that have never had the cards read? Now, again, you don't want to just to go to anybody. You can look up in the book and you can find out what the card quote means. But you want to go to somebody that's going to interpret the cards with clean energy, with your best interest at heart, and with the ability to break it down and get you to understand it. The cards are just our energy. Everything is energy. And my friend says everything is spirit. Spirit and energy to me are like the same thing, tomato, tomato. So you're in good hands tonight. On top of that, the more that I get into this, because I study it daily, I'm realizing that when my clients say, oh, I don't know, I've actually been looking them straight in the face and say to them, oh, yeah, you do know. You actually do. You may not want to bring it up. You may not want to validate it. You may not even like the answer. But so many times we just know. Our body does. And that's why, let me throw, don't tease me about all the toys that I have, please. That's why these rods work. And I could I could have one of my clients in front of me, and let me just hit a couple buttons and grab some of my clients onto Zoom. I can work on them. And so these rods, I'm going to actually ask the rods to find neutral. And neutral is just straight on, and that's what they did. And then I could ask them, is my name Diane? Apparently I know my name. I love it when I know my answers. And then I could say, do I live in Hawaii? And you see they're spreading out. So of course I knew those answers. But the real thing is that my body did. So I can look at somebody and say, yeah, no, that's not your truth. But I'm realizing that when I show them through these rods, when I show them through the cards, it gives them maybe more stability. It's fun. It's not like they don't believe me. It's just that it gives them more sound proof. So be careful. Don't let just anybody throw cards for you. They can not give you a healthy outcome. And anything and everything I want to do is for the love and for the light, as I said. So with that, TikTok, YouTube, like, share. Bring in some of your friends, your homies, your clients, or your family. And let me do a 3. Ooh, this is going to be icky. Not icky. I'm going to do 3 cards for me, because a lot of times when I'm working on people, and especially meditation, what do you want to work on? What do you want to work on? Meditation class. Okay, did I get everybody? And then there's times where I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm in this group. I'm part of the team. And so a lot of times I'll even ask myself. So, and the best part is that you have your energy clean, of course, open, spacious, heart activated. 3 is a very powerful number. So I traditionally like to shuffle the cards 3 times. I'm going to be throwing 3 cards. Pulling 3 cards. 1 more. And there we go. Interesting. My first card. The first card is the past. Second card, present. Third card is future. We can do 5 cards. And when I'm shuffling, if there's a card that kind of like falls out or just acts weird compared to all the others, I'll pull that card out because it wants to be seen. So the first, I love this. So let me get a little bit closer. And now this one has a front or a top and a bottom. So it was pulled with the top up here. Accountability. True. Oh, now y'all get to see me with my glasses. True remorse emerges, along with a willingness to take responsibility for past actions. So you might want to ask yourself, is this a little bit in alignment with me also? Everything that we do has a payment. Everything has a currency. So what has happened in my past is because of me, my lessons, my actions, my requirements to move through as a spirit, and my soul contract. So now these cards are telling me, and possibly even you, that it's a good time right now to sit down and think about what I've gone through and not blame, not project onto others, but to remember, it's my favorite word, to remember that I am the common denominator and I'm in the center of all my experiences. So when it comes to not being able to find somebody that I can hire and trust, I know there's a lot of humans out there that hire people that can trust. So that is one of my stories. It's hard for me to find somebody that I can trust that does a good job. So if I'm running that energy, it means that I am worried about it, and that worry is going to give me what I don't want. So that was quite interesting. Regeneration is present time. What once crushed you is now becoming your catalyst for transformation. So it's like, wow, that's pretty deep. In the past 3-4 years has been a roller coaster of highs and lows. I've had some real rough moments. And it's made me who I am today. Did I want to go through that? Absolutely not. Am I better for it? Yeah. So it's time to really take this big picture, and this is the coaching part that I do, and this is the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that I do. It's taking this big story of all the stuff that's gone with me has come to me in the last 4 years. It would take 4 or 5 billboards for me to write it down. It'd take me 3 or 4 hours to tell you all about it because I'd want to go detail. And what this card is saying is like, yeah, it happened. Now reduce it down, take the light from it, take all that energy that I've been throwing at it, reduce it down, and just kind of like put it away. It's kind of like, oh, I used to play really good softball. And it's like, yeah, that was in 1987. Diane, you're not a good softball player. So if you want to bring up that story, it has zero truth to today's information. Let it go. So the past 4 years of some of the rough stuff, I've gone through it, the cesspools of hell. I've pulled myself up, pulled myself out, dusted myself up, and I'm ready to go again. Now, if I was coaching myself, which I do often, so now that I've taken these stories, reduced them down, taken the light away from them, and made them less important for me to have to visit often, it's like, well, now what am I going to visit? And it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Coach Diane knows. Now, what are you wanting to look forward to? What are you wanting to manifest, to create, to take your attention that was so much in the past over here? What do you want to create in your future, which is here and straight above you and forward? So if I can sit there and later tonight, I'll probably journal about, okay, now what? It's kind of like I just ran a marathon, and it's just like, okay, I just did that. Now what? Because I don't want to go back to the old me. I don't want to just go sit on the couch. And I want to be able to create what is in my future. So then the third card, quite beautiful. Attachment. You may be changing to something that is already over. Release is overdue. You may be clinging to something that is already over. Release, it's overdue. So give me some comments. What do you think about this? Because I'm looking at this and we have attachments. And are the attachments healthy? Or are they negative? Are they positive? Or are they kind of have a poor me? Is it a limited belief? And so I'm kind of scanning my energy. If I was with a client, I'd scan their energy and it'd be like, okay, yeah, totally makes sense. Clinging to something that was over. And again, what I was saying a few minutes ago was that the last 4 years, what I'd gone through, it really is over. So I don't need to, again, I'm not going to talk about it in details because I don't have to prove it. Because each time I talk about it, it puts today's stamp on it, which I've been done with that. That story ended because every story has a start date and an end date. That story ended probably April of May of last year. So I don't need to talk about it anymore. It's detaching from that. And again, as the life coach in me, it's just like, well, now what are you going to talk about? Let's just say I had a story that I was trying to do a massive garden. And I put thousands of dollars into it, and I had it built in a greenhouse, and nothing worked, and nothing worked, and nothing worked. And so now that I'm not trying to do that anymore, it's just like I don't need to talk to people about it, because if you do that, what's happening is you're talking about all your failures. And trust me, in the dating world, no one wants to hear those stories. In the friendship world, no one needs to hear those stories. So again, without the attachment, without that playing a role in my vocabulary, in my storytelling, I've got to come up with new things. Does that make sense? And any questions? I've been doing energy work, tarot cards, psychic readings for over 35 years. It's kind of fun to do the cards, but so many times people will go and have their energy read. But if it doesn't have any really good coaching or NLP or hypnosis or any healing attached to it, you may learn something. But if it wasn't shifted, you're just going to have to keep it. So take a couple deep breaths and ask away. Mitch, Georgia, nice to see you all. Move that. Why I like to throw 3 cards is because we're so dimensional. If you said, Diane, do you like chocolate? And if I've never experienced chocolate, I'd be like, I don't know. I'll have to have an experience. So you may hand me chocolate and I'll be able to say, yes, I like it, or no, I do not. If you ask me if I like salami, and it's just like, oh yeah, I like salami. And why? How do you know you like salami, Diane? Because I've experienced in my past. How do I know who I am? Through all my past experiences. And a lot of people get so focused on their past experiences that they forget to be open for more, for different. It's just like, do you want to go to a new restaurant? It's like, nah, I just like to go to my favorite one. What would you like to order? I'm just going to order the usual. And in energy, in advancing, creating, building, getting bigger and better, it really is nice to try new things, because you don't know until you know. And that's why we're creatures of habit. Just reading some of the comments. And please follow. I love the hearts, of course. My goal is to give you some good, solid information about energy, coaching, hypnosis, NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, Reiki. I'm a Reiki Grandmaster. Just about anything and everything. And I want it to have value. And if it has value, then I'm going to show up and do this more. And speaking of that, I forgot. I officially came out with my book, Healing Bodies, Healing Souls. It's my business name. And it really is awakening the energy that changes everything. Everything is energy. It's on Amazon, in paper, or in Kindle. And it's also Barnes and Noble. So I would love for you guys to purchase it and let me know what you think about it and keep me posted. I came out with a book over 10 years ago, and this is revamping it. And because, again, I keep doing this. So I'd love for you to go and look at it at Amazon, Healing Bodies, Healing Souls, or you can just put in my name, Diane, correct spelling, Gysin, G-Y-S as in Sue, I-N. My grandfather is from Switzerland. So I'm proud of myself. A lot of people want to do things. I want to learn how to knit. I want to learn how to sew. I want to learn how to cook better. And so many people talk about all of that, but they actually don't do it. And a friend of mine is out for dinner, and he is phenomenal in communication. He said, with all the stuff that you do, Diane, he's like, with all the stuff that you do, wouldn't it make sense just for you to write a book? And I'm watching his hands, hypnotic. He didn't know it. And he said, wouldn't it make sense just for you to write a book? And I instantly said, okay. And I wrote a book. And that story, which is I love, is that's why we want to hang out with positive people. That's why we want to be positive ourselves. But because I have some good friends that are positive, supportive, that talk in such a beautiful way that you want to stay engaged in that moment, that's a hypnotic moment. So to Mike, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's why we want to have good people. But in order to have good people, hello, you got to be a good person yourself. So let me throw a card in a moment. But I love this conversation. I have to be a positive person in order to attract positive people. So just for a moment, look at some of the people that you hang out with, whether it's in your job, your career, in your social, and are they positive people? When the two of you or five of you get together, is the conversations more on a positive note or on a negative note? Is it bitching, whining, and moaning and complaining? Or is it some like groovy advancement stuff? Because I know this as a true fact. You want to hang out with positive people, but you got to be positive yourself. It's very difficult for me to hang out with just anybody that I meet because the majority of people are not all that positive. So when they come to me, I look at their vibration, I look at their energy and see if it's below or above, and how to advance them into positive, into success. This is for their energy body. This is for their earth body. This is for their future success. And if you know anybody that likes to complain about work all the time, and some people even complain about their kids, mind-blowing. I have never spoken about my daughters to anybody that was negative. I just don't speak about my daughters in a negative way. I raise them well, I raise them right, they're on top of their game. But I just was conscious when I was talking about my daughters, and I wanted to speak well of them, or I shouldn't speak at all. So, with that said, any of you all married or in a relationship where you don't speak well about your significant other, raise your hand, throw me some hearts, because that's not that's not good. That's not cool. I went to the gym, and the young manager was talking about something, and she said that her boyfriend was real stupid. He's like, "Oh, he's so stupid." I said, "Whoa, wow. Do you think he's the one?" And she's like, "Oh yeah. Oh, he's definitely the one." I said, "Yeah, no, he's not." And she was shell shocked. I said, "He's not the one if you can look at me and talk about him so poorly and be so disrespectful about him. He can't be the one." Why? Because he deserves better than that. So hopefully it was a wake up call for her, because it really was an energetic slap alongside the head. So if you are, again, Diane the Life Coach, if you're not speaking well of your children, of your significant other, then you're in negative energy, of course. And you really want, probably need some help, because you're coming from a trauma from the past that just makes everything not good. And when you can find those moments and heal those moments and bring your energy up, you'll actually be able to see that life is pretty good, pretty delicious, pretty fun, and pretty playful. So let me just pull a card. Isolation. I have a YouTube channel, of course, Instagram, TikTok, of course. Isolation. Beware of excessive isolation leading to loneliness and social withdrawal. That's a negative person. And I've done quite a few posts on this last week, so not surprised that the card showed up. But if you want to just go within because the outside world is unsafe, and that you're the lonely wolf, staying away from everybody, it's kind of like a 4-year-old. If I had a 4-year-old on the couch looking outside and seeing all the kids play, but wouldn't allow him or herself to go out and play, that's the isolation. That's the lonely wolf. And it will not work in the business world, in the family unit, and in your social world. So any questions on that? So then I go in, once we realize that a client has that, what it is that they're hiding, they don't know what they're hiding from, so they got to stay hiding. And I'm saying, yeah, no, hop on the pony, get out, start living, and be around humans. A lot of people don't have enough social skills, so it could be awkward. Well, as adults, hello, we do it until it's not awkward anymore. That's what we do as adults. And if you are afraid to learn, afraid to get out there, then don't necessarily run to me, but call me pretty quick. And let's do a consultation on Zoom. Because that is no way to live. And being a lonely wolf, there's no bragging rights. And a show of hearts, show of hands. And please follow. Please like, please subscribe, wherever you're at in time and space. And remember that you're here to evolve. And evolving, changing, growing is needing effort from you. And if you hide, lone wolf, you retract away from people, then you are not growing. You're not expanding. And then people wonder why they're not getting a better career, better job. It's like, well, you can't ask for better if you're going to hide and you're not going to put yourself out there. Giorgio, does that make sense? Because I like that you're here. Nick, does that make, I think it's Nick, 35. Does that make sense? Is this kind of like having some little alarms go on in your mind? Because a few years back, I realized that when I got an invitation from people, I would just flat out say no. And then I said to myself, nope. Every invitation that you get, Diane, if it's humanly possible, you're going to have to say yes right away, real quick, real fast. Oh, yes, I can meet you tonight. What time? 7:00? Sure. And I committed myself. And if I commit myself, I've got to follow through. You see the growth, you see the wisdom, you see the ability to expand out in this thing called life. Well, I did that. A girlfriend wanted me to meet her for dinner at a Indian card place, casino. And I said yes. And an hour later, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't go to casinos. They smoke inside there. I've never smoked. It's an hour away. I don't want to drive an hour. So, because the mind is so incredibly tricky, and my mind could give me 5 or 6 reasons why I don't need to go. But previously, a week or two before that, I said to myself, any invitation that I get that I can humanly say yes to, I will say yes and I will go. So, of course, you can bet on that. I went and I had a good time. It was nice to have dinner with a friend I hadn't seen for a while. So, this story is all about stretching our boundaries. And with the coaching and NLP, neuro linguistic programming, I'm able to go in and find out why your energy has been so reduced down. The traumas, the past stories, those stories are still alive inside you. It's like a record player that's still going in the background. And if we have too many stories of negative, of hurt going on, then we're instantly going to say no to a good thing. Because a negative person really doesn't want to say, not that I was negative, but a negative person doesn't want to say yes to a good time, because negative is looking for negative. Positive is looking for positive. So go ahead and ask away. Move this so I can read some stuff. Is some of this making sense, though? And thank you for the hearts. Thank you for following. I literally love what I do. That's why it's a Friday night at 8:30. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I'll hang out with some of my homies. People that are interested in energy, absolutely. People that are curious about how to improve themselves, sounds like a damn good evening to me. So take a couple deep breaths and relax. It's fascinating. I've been meditating for well over 35 years, and I have a weekly meditation class on Wednesday nights. So I am quite a bit more relaxed than most people. And if my body's relaxed, I have more energy to go in and heal and balance. I don't have that knee-jerk reaction that a lot of people have. I can actually feel more safe and comfortable in moments. Because if somebody feels insecure, they feel scared, but they're home and it's safe, or they're in a grocery store, and trust me, it's safe unless, of course, you're in the chocolate aisle. But what happens is that if people very similar to you don't learn to unwind, don't learn to relax, they're on guard. And they're going to have this anticipation. I have this anticipation that something's going to happen. And it's like, not right now, but something's going to happen. And you'll live that way for a minute, a month, a year, or even a lifetime. Not taking the ability for you to get on guard. But if you don't need to be on guard, it's kind of like being overdressed and not playing it cool. So my body is traditionally pretty relaxed. And I can even make it more relaxed within less than 30 seconds. That's what meditation will do for you. It's to help you remember, against my favorite word, to remember that if I'm in a safe moment, I'm in a safe moment. Mind-blowing, isn't it? And if I'm not in a safe moment, you'll see me level up. You'll see me start to pay attention. So I don't want to take that away from you. But if this is a pretty cool evening and everything's going really well, you don't need to have this anxiousness, anxiety, nervousness showing up. It just kind of makes it a little awkward for other people. So does that make sense to people? And let me just hit a few buttons on my... I show up with some really good high intention. And when I get some stupid people, I just like to just block them right away. And why do I just block them right away? So I don't have to get upset. So I don't have to go back and forth and build up anxiety. So that was divine timing. Ladybug, nice to see you. So we've been talking about quite a few things. I've been doing this for over 35 years. Meditation is a beautiful way of bringing your nervousness down and getting back into more positive. I've just started using some tarot cards in my coaching because it seems like what I'm helping them with and inspiring them and navigating them into, that the cards are like, oh, wow, that was just so much deeper. So they don't feel like it's just my opinion. Because I've been able to channel for so long, I just speak like it's coming from me. I don't say, oh, I'm going to download, oh, the spirits are saying. I'm just saying, yeah, this, and this, and this. So they're enjoying it, and I'm very excited to offer the tarot cards in my sessions. And I've done it a few times where I actually will throw one or two cards for each person in my meditation class on Zoom on Wednesday nights. And you can go to my website, Healing Bodies, Healing Souls, and check out everything that I do. And if you're interested in meditation, all you got to do is message me. And if you're interested in becoming a more advanced self, all you have to do is message me. Because if you don't change, you're actually reducing down. Because life is getting bigger, it's getting more, it's getting better. The iPhones get better, the cars get better. And if you are not improving, investing time and energy and money into yourself, life is going forward and you're so stagnant that you're missing some opportunities. And that is why you have financial problems. You have relationship problems. You have possibly health problems. Because all of that is surrounded by your energy. And if you're not helping yourself move forward, you're staying stagnant. That is a reduction of energy. It is what's the word? I want to say it's not congestion, it's depletion of energy. It's like trying to live life with a quarter of a tank and you want the quarter of the tank to last you for 3 months because you have no more energy. And I'm saying, hello, work work your energy up so that you can live in more of a full tank. So anybody have any questions? I do have YouTube. Subscribe and follow. I have quite a bit of information there. My TikTok, of course, Instagram, of course. And then I do private sessions. And you don't need to suffer. It's an option. You do need to learn to grow. And you do need to learn to advance. And that might have a little bit of growing pains attached to it. But that is part of adulting, as part of growth. That is part of you moving forward. If I was teaching you to lift weights at the gym and I just gave you 3-pound weights to curl, you're never going to get anywhere. So if you can do 10 pounds, I'm going to give you 12. If you can do 15, I'm going to give you 20. Why? So it builds. And that's really what life is about. Don't be afraid. So let's talk about the scaredy cats that I've met in my business. The ones that are afraid of everything and anything in life. And just imagine, maybe it's you, but just imagine going through life being afraid. Afraid to stand up and talk to somebody. Afraid to go out on your own. Afraid to have lunch by yourself. Dinner by yourself. Afraid to stand up and talk about what you're being paid and hired to talk about. That to me is mind-blowing. Why would anybody be that way? And if you guys got some ideas, please share it with me, because it isn't serving them. It isn't helping them. They've got to grow up. Would I expect, if I had a 4-year-old, would I expect my 4-year-old to go and stand up in kindergarten class and say that's incorrect and that's not right? Probably not. She's 4. And she's probably under 3.5 feet. I'm tall. It's very difficult to stand at to an adult and have the stability to do it. But you're not in kindergarten tonight. You may be acting like it. But it is time for you to learn to grow up and show up. Anxiety and panics. Do you actually get anxiety and panic? I've worked with a lot of people, and I'm thankful that I have never. I've seen the devil quite a few times, but I don't go into anxiety. I don't go into panic. I don't even worry about it. What I have conditioned and programmed and taught myself is to really get grounded and focused and present and handle it quite well. I don't want you to go through anxiety, because in those moments, somebody may need you. Well, and you need yourself. How many times have you had a panic attack? Because traditionally, if you have anxiety, you kind of almost have it daily. It's kind of like water. You have it all the time. But panic attacks, you don't need medication for any of this. My opinion, of course. But I'm sorry that you go through that. How old are you, Julie? And if you could follow, like, subscribe, hearts, all that good stuff, I'd be quite honored, and thank you. So, Julie, if you're still here, some bitch, yep. Every few months, yep. Damn it. From 52, so you've had it for, what, 30 years? Okay. So do you see, again, this is not your fault, of course. You go nowhere, Dad. Boy, howdy. Okay. What happens is, and as a hypnotist, years ago, a lady came to me. She could not drive on the freeway. She had a little accident on the freeway. And then it scared her. So she didn't go on the freeway. She avoided it. And then she didn't want to drive at night. And then she didn't this and that. So she had a story where she could do stuff. And then something happened, made her nervous, worried, scared. And then it reduced her down a little bit. And then it reduced her down a little bit. And see, that's what I want to do in my coaching is stop people from contracting to expanding. And she came in for a hypnotherapy session. And in less than 40 minutes, I tapped her on the shoulder. And I said, let's do it. Let's go. Let's drive. Let's go on the freeway. And she's like, oh, okay. I already had my purse, my keys, and everything right next to me. So I knew I could just grab that and we could just walk out. I said, oh, just get the front door for me, please. So I'm giving her something to do. I'm getting her, and this is what you do with horses. You keep their head or their feet active so they don't have time to think about a lot of extra. We get in the car and I says, oh, I'll tell you where to go. Why don't you just turn here, here, and here. We'll hop on the freeway. And I kept talking a little bit. I said, oh, this just feels so natural, so easy. And thank you for driving. I really appreciate it. So she was feeling good inside. We're driving now. She's hitting close to 70 miles an hour. I said, this is fun, and I'm excited you can do it, but watch your speed. You might want to reduce it down, and thank you. So she did. We got off the freeway, back on the freeway, and she said that she could not do the bridge, of course. And so I said, please take this exit. It'll be much easier. And I said, oh, instead of turning right, could you turn left? And she turned left. I didn't give her too much of a time to like, oh, your office is the right, but oh, you want to go left? I said, oh, if you could. And of course she can. So she said yes to it, and she did. And I said, oh, we're actually ahead. We're headed to the bridge. So let's just go over the bridge. And oh, I've got toll money. And she's like, oh, okay. And she went over the bridge, turned around, came back. And she wanted to do this because, again, she doesn't want to live a life where she's reducing herself down. She had a 4-month-old, her first baby. And she wanted to take her daughter on the freeway over the bridge to have lunch with her husband, and so his office could meet their little one. And three days later, after our session, she was able to do that and text me. So we all have a life. Some people are just not able to really enjoy it. So Julie, you have the ability to change. You can change. I throw some money down on it. The real question is, will you do it? And in the presence of me as a coach and as a healer, you will be successful. Another story, a lady was terrified of dogs. So her and her boyfriend, he had to ask, oh, do you have any dogs? And if they had dogs, she wouldn't go over to their house. Or you have to keep them locked up, put away, or she wouldn't go over. So it was really crippling her life. And I'm like, yeah, come on over. So I did my magic. Hypnotherapy, but some really coaching, some deep understanding. Put her in a hypnotic suggestion state. A couple months later, I said, let's go. Let's go find some dogs. So we went to the park, and there was a person that had maybe a 10, 12 pound dog. And I said, oh, let's go and ask first, of course, can we pet your dog? And she sat down on the walkway and had the dog in her lap, and she was petting, and the dog was licking her all over the place, and she was petting the dog, and the dog was actually in her lap, not like, okay, okay, thank you, yeah, okay, nice dog, but she was actually invested in that dog. She was so excited. She was just so amazed. And to me, it's simple. But again, I've been doing this for over 35 years. So can you get over the anxiety? Absolutely. The real question is, will you invest in your time, invest your energy, and financially invest in yourself so you can live a full life? And at 52, I hope so. Because all of this stress is taking away a good story, reducing your life down, aging your body. And Julie, it's either a kind of a yes or a no. You're 52 years old is what you typed. Do you look older than 52? Is your body aging much faster because of the anxiety, because of the panic attacks? And please subscribe, like, thank you, follow, all that groovy stuff. Okay, genetics. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Do you have children? Because anybody that has reduced stories, fear-based energy, you're actually teaching them to be that way at your age. Okay, way cool. I raised 2 daughters in the Bay Area alone. So kids are amazing. And they need light. They need bright. Okay, rock on. Julie, have you started following me? And anybody, I have over 20 certificates in different healing modalities. So if you have any questions about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, how I run my sessions, they're all on Zoom. So you'll see me and I'll see you. And then here comes my wicked laugh. I video record the session and I send it to you. And then you get to sit down and watch you get to sit down and watch your own session. And I'm going to point a lot of things out. And you're going to see what the world sees when they look at you, mentally, physically, emotionally, and energetically. One lady a few years back, her second session, she's like, oh my gosh, I look so frumpy. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, she was and she is. But just the video alone, she started to actually see how she was presenting herself, and she really cleaned up her act. One male client of mine, he said, I can't believe it took me so long to answer your questions. He's like, when I saw that, I was at work and I'm like, oh, that's going to stop today. So he's more on top of it. Because we watch a lot of people and we have a lot of ideas for everybody else to how they want to change. But in life, you focusing on you taking care of you noticing and correcting your behavior is you being in first position and taking charge of really what's important. So yeah. So please follow, all that groovy stuff. And ask away. I'm in California. I have clients in Canada. One lady was in Mexico because she lived here. I worked on her sister, and then she went back to Mexico. And her sisters are like, oh, you need Diane. And so she signed up. I do individual sessions, but most of the time, when we really get real, we're going to need a few more. So I offer packages. But since I am the boss, the head honcho, I can float and move things around because each person has different needs. Sometimes we'll start with one session, and that may be enough if it's specific and everything else is going well. And or we can talk about a session once you've gone through one. Excuse me, and you kind of know I'm the real deal. Because everything is energy now. Does people understand that everything is energy? I had a 24-year-old woman come in, and on her right temple, upper head temple, was so painful that she couldn't brush her hair. She was losing hair in that area. She couldn't put her hair back because nothing could even be around that. She couldn't sleep on that side. She couldn't brush her hair. She couldn't wash that side without severe pain. And her dad was a surgeon. So you know that they flooded the medical world when it came to figuring out what's wrong with my daughter. And they couldn't figure it out. So she came to me and she's like, my family is freaking out that I'm here. I said, yeah, I don't care. In 4 sessions, the level of pain was traditionally an 8 to a 10, 8 to a 10, 8 to a 10. I was able to get it down to a 1. And after a few more sessions, the story just went away like it was on a whiteboard that we're able to erase. And her dad was pretty impressed with me. Oh, and I never touched her, other than giving her possibly a hug when she showed up and a hug when she left. I didn't have to touch her. There was no Reiki. I'm a Reiki Grandmaster, and I can just look at somebody and heal them. I don't have to put them on a massage table in a quiet room. Nice music, which is fun, which is nice. But I can actually look at somebody and get rid of their headache. Another cute story. I was in Office Max, and I had a question, so I was waiting for a manager. So I'm just standing there, just being me. No logo, or nobody knew who I was. And a young girl at the cash register, she was working, and she looked over, she looked at me, eye to eye contact, and she's like, I have such a headache. And I'm like, oh, you have a headache? She's like, yeah. And I said, you want me to get rid of it? And she's like, what? I said, do you want me to get rid of your headache? And I'm sure she did not tell everybody that went into her line at the cash register. She said that. I was 30 feet away from her, and she just blurted it out. And she's like, yeah. And so I grabbed her energy, called her in, and I looked up at her, and she's just standing there like this. I said, oh, honey, you're clocked in. Continue to work. Continue to work. I don't want to get her in trouble. I don't want to get her fired. Good. Threw it back at her, opened up my eyes, looked at her. She looked at me, and she's like, my headache's gone. She's like, my headache is really gone. It's really gone. And she's telling all the other little coworkers, my headache's really gone. And I'm like, yeah, that was pretty simple. That was pretty easy. Give me something more difficult next time. Everything is energy. And energy can be shifted, can be changed, can be healed. It's vibration. And the vibration needs to be traditionally a little bit cleaner, a little bit, maybe, I want to say faster, not necessarily all the time, but if the energy is sluggish, then there is the congestion. So I look at energy, it's like, okay, are you congested? or you're depleted. And then I'll be able to go in from that level and heal it. Sometimes it could be a past life. That's pretty cool stuff. Sometimes an entity shows up. That's pretty fun. Yeah. So take a couple deep breaths. I love what I do. California time, Pacific time. My hours are all over the place. The sessions are tradition about an hour and a half because I really want to do a start to finish job. Some people that go to counseling or therapists or whatever, it's like a 55-minute thing, and that's just not enough. My sessions are a full hour and a half because I'm looking at so many dimensions of a person. And I want to simplify it for them. I was working with a couple 2 days ago, and they've done the therapy, the counselor for a relationship, for marriage. And afterwards, he said, "You really broke it down for us so that we really understand and that we really get it." Now, I was pretty rough on him a couple times and on her a couple times. So you may think she's just so nice and she's so sweet, which is true. But in energy work, sometimes people want to show up with their ego attached and anger issues. Does anybody have anger issues? Because that's I get a kick out of those people because they're not going to win. People that have anger issues, it's kind of a bully mentality. I'm going to get real angry. I'm going to get real upset. I'm going to have this scene, this Karen kind of a scene. And so I don't have to take responsibility. I'll just start exploding. And then I don't have to take responsibility of that moment. And I've had clients, of course, and people that have anger issues. And they start to rear up, and I basically just slam them down. And it's just like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. It's respect. And so the gentleman a couple days ago, I said, "You change your tone or you will be 100% kicked out of this session and you won't be returning today." And he's just like, but he realized that I laid down the law. I didn't get upset. I'm not going to take it personal. I'm going to handle it. It's going to be quick. It's going to be fast. And it's going to be complete. Because somebody that has anger issues, they really are trying to be a bully. And maybe in elementary school or something, somebody tried to, but I don't have anybody that tries to bully me. So is anybody online right now that's a bully? Or, as we flip the coin, is anybody online that is easy to be bullied? That might be the big question. Is it easy to bully you? Are you timid? Are you reserved? Are you easily manipulated? And please follow, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you know any of your friends that'd be interested in this, you can just, give them a holler and have them hop on. But is anybody easily manipulated in life? Because this is going to sound bad, but a lot of my clients quite a few of my clients have had a little bit of stalking going on. An old boyfriend or an old girlfriend that just won't leave them alone. And I'm like, you didn't set down the boundary well enough. Oh, you didn't set down the boundary well enough. Because if you set down a half-assed boundary and they know, they're just going to step all over you, step all over the boundary. So I teach people to really lay down one boundary, clear, precise. So they know exactly that that's a boundary that they don't want to go across. And then also the key part that most people don't get, you set up a boundary. You make damn sure that you don't step over it. Because then it's that back and forth stupid stuff. Julie, Julie, Julie. Years ago, a client at work, a coworker of hers, she was single, he's married, they would go out maybe for lunch and this and that, and he was kind of overstepping the boundaries. And she didn't know how to smack the reins fast enough and hard enough. And so she was just kind of wimpy, saying, "Oh, don't do that. Oh, don't." And so a wimpy voice just doesn't necessarily get attention like it should. So she was working with me, and she ended up having to call HR. And HR contacted him with the report and all that and said, one more contact from you, you lose your job. So he heard that. See, she couldn't lay down a boundary. And I know why, but she couldn't lay down a boundary. So she had to go to HR. She's an adult woman. She had to go to, which is really kind of bad. HR laid down a boundary that made that man pay attention, and he never crossed it again. The interesting part of the story is like 9 months later, it's like his birthday. What does she do? She hops over that boundary, texts him, "Oh, hey, hi, happy birthday. Just wanted to say hi, hope you're having a good day." She opened up that doorway and he comes running. You set down a boundary, you keep the boundary. So that's why so many people, user, of course I could. So many people are so wishy-washy with boundaries that they get so caught up in dysfunction that it's exhausting to move forward. So as I was saying earlier, I've never had a stalker. I've never had anybody try to bully me. And I've told some of my friends this. I've never had a stalker. I've never had somebody show up and try to bully me. And they look at me, and I'm only 5'3". They look at me and they're like, "Oh, you would hurt him. You would hurt her." So yeah, you're probably right. So I want people to learn how to be an adult, a strong adult that uses good language, vocabulary, and knows how to lay it down quite well. So you don't have to live in a stupid life with zero boundaries where people get hurt, where people get confused. So think about this for a moment. Now that I've been talking to Diane for a while, is there some room of improvement that would probably be wise for me to check out? And if the answer is yes, then send me a message. Let's talk about what I offer. Let's maybe do a Zoom consultation and see if you are ready to become more than who you are today. Now, I'm always working on myself. When it comes to my clients, I guess I'm a lifer. But I love all this stuff. And I'm good at it. And so what would it feel like for you to really enjoy yourself in this life? Start winning more. How would that feel? And please, Hey, um, it's important that you value your own stories, your own life. And again, let me just again when I get the stupid people, I just block them. I don't get upset. I just so again, beautiful timing. I'm talking about having boundaries, taking care of it, not having to get worried, not having to get upset, and winning at the end. It's just fascinating that there's so many people that are so disrespectful online. I guess it's part of the game. When you give people that are not respecting you the least amount of time and attention, they don't get fueled. Your energy doesn't get up, and you don't get toxic. So, with that said, any questions? Please like, follow, share, subscribe, comment. I think I hit them all. And also, I'm very proud of myself. This book, when you write something or when you say I'm going to do something that maybe this big, I'm wanting to commit. Um, it's a learning process. I've never written a book before, but more than that, I had to really look at a lot of limited beliefs and push through those so that this could actually manifest. So that's why it's nice to have a goal. That's why it's nice to show up and want to learn, want to push yourself. That's growth. Even with like new recipes, going different places. And Julie, if you're still here, it's just getting out. Having something to get excited about. Hey, Phil, do you have any questions? I see you kind of hop in and hop out. Yeah. I want when my daughters look at me and think, oh, my mom was badass, which means I can be badass. Oh, my mom would definitely do this. So I get to do this. I'm paving the way to a fuller life because I'm pushing myself right now to have a fuller life. Some people, and Julie, I'm not necessarily talking about you, but some people that live in fear and worry and concern and live in a small world, their children, when they get to be 52 and or I'm 63. So when my daughters are going to be 63, they're going to be like, my mom just grabbed her keys and did whatever she wanted to do. She lived limitless. I mean, I'm not going to do a backflip, but whatever I want to do, I can do it. And last year I went to Mount Shasta. Again, I'm in Northern California. Went camping for 3 days and went to a UFO conference. Why? Because I wanted to. So I want you to live fuller so your children lineage from this moment and into their future, they can live fuller. So yes, I do this for myself, of course, but I also do it because my daughters are watching. And that's a pretty beautiful incentive. So with that said, it's been a little over an hour. I think I'm going to take a break for a little while. I might come back on. If you are following and all that groovy stuff, you will, I think, get a message or I'll pop up or show up or something. And if you have any questions, pen and paper, just write some of those down. If you haven't noticed, I am a good talker. And I love answering questions. I love exploring ideas. And I love being here for you. So my website is healingbodieshealingsouls.com. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. TikTok, all that stuff. And if you could follow me, and again, my book, Healing Bodies, Healing Souls, my name, Diane Gysin, Gysin. Purchasing that would be actually quite lovely. So I appreciate your time, and I will possibly be back on shortly and or another time. Deep bow and thank you.